My name is Doug Clark. I'm the program director at Reincarnation Cottages. I've known Jordan since 2015, right before he started Reckless. It was all my idea, but he got it copyrighted before me, so I sold it to him for $1.2 million, and that's why he works so hard, is because he owes me a lot of money. I actually, I have known him that long, and he does owe me that much money, but I'll never see a dime of it. But he started this Reckless thing, and he was doing it, and he had all these ideas. And if you know Jordan, I'm sorry for the life the hand that life dealt you. But he sees something and he goes after it, and it doesn't matter what gets in his way or what tries to stop him or who says he can't do it. It doesn't matter. He's all in, and so that's also the reason I won't work for him. But he sees these stuff and he goes after it, and so he started talking to me about it, and I was like, that's a great idea. I want to be a part of it. I'll do anything I can to help you. And so that's kind of how we started. We would go work when he worked for the Parker Security, and we would go work 10 hours and then go stake out a drug addict for 3 and that sort of stuff, back before we had employees to do all the hard stuff for us. But back when we did it ourselves, those were the good days. But his passion for it, I just jumped on board and did anything I could to help.
Why do so many people make death threats against Jordan?
Have you met him? I mean, come on. I maybe not death threats, but I've definitely threatened to, take it to him. But not on a serious note. I mean, you think about it, these drug addicts, they're in a comfortable place. They're getting high. They're all this stuff. Maybe they don't want help yet. Maybe they're just too high to see that they want help. And then this guy comes in and he's talked to their parents and saying, hey, it's time to quit supporting this 35-year-old man who is living in your house, eating your food, spending all his money on drugs. Well, yeah, I would be extremely mad too. It's like taking the rich boy's Lexus away.
And why is Reckless so effective at what they do?
Because I feel that because Jordan knows he's walked down that road, and you when you've been sober or clean and you see the way you used to live life and the way you manipulated your parents, and you see all these things that we can cut through a lot of the junk and the lies and the manipulation and stuff, to where we can tell the parents or the loved ones that, hey, this is what they're going to say, this is what they're going to do, this is what you expect. So when he comes at you with this, you know what to say. And I think that's why we're so effective, that, preparing the parent or whatever to know what to expect, and then also taking away every excuse. There's no reason. I mean, if you have an excuse why you can't come to treatment, we take that away. And so there's no excuse.
I believe that so many people make death threats against Jordan because of truth. Again, when you're taking away everything that makes an addict comfortable and enables them to proceed in a life of manipulating family members and friends, etc., you're taking that all away from them. And Jordan is educating, family members and friends on what they need to do so that it is successful for that addict in the long run. I understand that exactly, because I remember being in my own addiction, where you get pretty frustrated and angry when your manipulation and your games kind of come to an end, and you're being called out on that, and those ways aren't working anymore, which it's scary because addiction is very, very hard to get away from anyway. And when you're taking away all the tools that you're using as far as family members and friends, it pretty much ends the way you're doing, acquiring your drugs, the way you're moving through your addiction.
There's a huge misconception, man, about recovery and what it means to like be effective at it, especially when you're in our situation, like where you're actively pulling people out of addiction and placing them in recovery, oftentimes against their will. I've never met a drug addict yet that is excited about the prospect of recovery. That's a very scary thing. So when we kind of get the moniker of the bad boys of recovery, like over and over again, because we tell people the truth. We're honest with them. And whenever I say to someone, hey, your kid is 30 years old and he's shooting dope in your house, right? And I say, you need to, approach this guy about treatment. And so we'll go over there and say, hey, do you want to go to treatment? And he says, no, I'm not going to treatment. I'm never doing that. I don't have a problem, blah, blah, blah. Well, now you've just openly denied the fact that your addiction is going to kill you. Well, the good news is we have something called leverage, and that's the fact that your parents are paying for a roof over your head. So then I go to the parents right in front of the addicted, and I'm like, hey, you need to kick this kid out of your house. Like, he's going to kill himself in your house on drugs. You don't have to do that. You're paying him to basically exist at this point. And they're like, well, if I don't give him some kind of allowance, he's not going to have anything to eat. And it's like, well, that's not true. Kick him out of the house. He might not have anywhere to stay, nothing to eat, but he'll have a reckless card and we'll come get him. So that's why people hate us. I mean, the addicted, most of them. Like when we go and talk to them in that setting, they hate us. But the ones that are truly ready for recovery, they always love us. I mean, to them, we're hope, we're a bright light, like a warm freaking sunshine on a cold day. But to the ones that are playing with recovery and don't actually want help, they hate us. I mean, and that's when people say, well, I can't believe you'd be so honest, like, or I can't believe that, what did the guy say to me yesterday? Talked to me on the phone yesterday, and he said, I've never heard anyone talk about the addicted like you talk about them. It's like, well, what do you mean? He's like, you have no bedside manner, there's no grace to your speech at all. It's like, hey man, we're saints, all right, not angels. Like, I'm not here to make you feel better about the situation. Your kid's on drugs. You think that would be terrifying enough? The fact that he's going to kill himself, you think would be terrifying enough? So I'm here to tell, I can help you get out of it if you're willing to listen to me. Now you may not like how I say it, you probably won't, but the fact is that truth remains. I'm the only one on the earth that can help your kid. Because for whatever reason we try to outsmart the truth, man. Like, we're afraid to hurt someone's feelings. Parents are afraid to go to their kid and be like, look, I know you're doing drugs. Like one dad called me one time and he says, my wife, the kid's mom, thinks that my 27-year-old, I think he's 27 or 28, she thinks he's on drugs, but I don't think he's on drugs. I'm like, okay. I'm like, well, we want you to come over and talk to him and see if you can tell if he's on drugs. So, I mean, when I talked to the dad, I said, I talked to the kid for a minute. I came back, he's 27, he's not a kid. I said, yeah, your kid is on drugs. And he said, really, you just met him for 5 seconds and you can tell me that? I said, sir, you know he's on drugs. And he goes, how do you know what I know and don't know? I said, because my phone rang. Well, you know what I'm saying? Like, you just don't, like, whatever is in people, like this emotional thing that, I think that's maybe one of the great things about having autism. I have the high functioning form of autism that I don't have that emotion. I feel emotion just like everyone else does, but it doesn't take the place over fact or like truth. I think that's why I'm in the position I'm in. It's like, you may hate me. In fact, the addict probably will hate me at first, but in the end, I've never met one that, made it through treatment that didn't come back and either work with Reckless directly or tell me how much he loves and thanks me for what I did. There's hope, man, but you're going to have to it's not freedom in spite of suffering. And that's kind of what the world is wanting to tell you right now. Everyone's afraid to hurt your feelings and everyone's afraid to they want to tiptoe around the truth of, oh man, it's really going to hurt. It's really going to suck. I'll be completely honest with you. If you're on heroin or you're on Oxycontin, and especially if you're on needles, it's going to be the hardest thing you've ever done. It's going to suck really bad. And I know that because I've done it. You know what I mean? Like I went cold turkey off of it after a 16-year drug habit. So it's like, I'm not telling you to do something I haven't walked through, but by the grace of God, I had people that made me do it. It's not like I wanted to do it either. I was put in a position where I had to do it. And since I've been to that hell and come back from it, it's like, I know that you can make it out of that if you're just willing to take the hits and you're willing to spend that time. So one of the things that we always say is not, I'm not offering you freedom in spite of suffering. I'm offering you freedom through suffering, and there's a difference. It's like, it will almost kill you. Your recovery will. I mean, it's gonna hurt, and you're gonna think you're gonna die, but you won't. You won't die. You're gonna be all right. And at the end of it, when you get through that hell, you're covered in sweat and puke, and the hardest part of it is you're gonna wake up and know that you did it. You earned it, and the rest of your life begins in that moment.